Hello fellow Helldivers, Thornton here, and
So I'm going to pause the intro real quick. You might be wondering, why, Thornton, are you on a boat right now? Well, there's a great Helldivers YouTuber named as Clay Aesthetics, and he was doing a live stream the other day where I popped in just to say hi and see what was going on with all the new content creator stuff, and he said that if I did an intro on a boat, he would give me a burrito. If you're a fan of Clay, please tag him in his latest video and let him know that man owes me a burrito. Oh yeah, today's video is going to be about what the devs have recently said about upcoming collaborations other than just Halo and Killzone.
and cover all of that, but without further ado, let's jump into today's topic.
So fellow Helldivers, everything is still absolutely on fire in terms of the community. That being said, there is some stuff to go over in today's video, such as the fact that there's going to be a brand new holiday coming for Cecil Beach. Baskinator put out a post saying the planet was liberated earlier this week following a long and concentrated campaign by a small but inexplicitly dedicated group of Helldivers. The citizens of the planet voted to establish the day of the planet's liberation as Avengement Day. On this annual holiday, beach citizens will pause to remember the planet's loss to humanity's foes and relish the satisfaction of a long-awaited retribution. So kind of fun that we made another lore event in the game, very similar to Metal Level on Creek. Along with that, the dev team and the CEO have been on complete overdrive. As I mentioned, there is a lot of chaos going with the content creators right now, and then alongside that, optimization for the game. And Sham said the next patch will have a bunch of balancing that we think you'll appreciate. We have a video coming up on that. The next patch will have a bunch of audio fixes. The audio update this summer really did a number on our audio. I assume that we're going to get a video, as he said, sometime next week, and then maybe a patch either at the end of the week or in late October. A lot of us kind of saw this coming. That being said, today we're going to talk about other things that the devs have talked about, which is collaborations. We've already gotten two so far, the Killzone and also the ODST one. There's a lot of other IPs that Shams and Johan have both talked about coming to the game, and they come bundled with some leaks. So let's go over it. Finally got the ODST collaboration with Helldivers 2, and it's really nice to see that collaborations are going to be something we continually see in this game, but they're not going to be overbearing. It's not going to be like we see the enemy factions or different enemy types based on other games. It's going to be something that already ties into this existing universe and makes a lot of sense already. And ODST, for instance, isn't very different from your typical Helldiver, and they exist within somewhat of a realistic sci-fi dystopian universe. That being said, if you missed out on the Killzone Warbond back when it released, I believe it was December, did say that they are going to be bringing it back, so everyone will have a chance to get the content if you missed out at the time. It will be coming back as actually a Warbond, as they have some technical hurdles to jump through on how to reimburse players that have some of the content already. So that is great, because that means the legendary Warbonds where we see these collabs like the ODST one are going to continually be a thing that in the game, meaning you won't have to deal with any FOMO. People will be able to get the Killzone ones, and Arrowhead has already started looking at some of the future collabs already and actually kind of teased it online. The other day on Discord, a dev known as Jojo, who is a QA lead, was asked about a Deep Rock Galactic and also a Crisis collaboration in the near future. The first thing to go over is that Deep Rock Galactic one. A long time ago, Deep Rock Galactic said maybe they are looking for a crossover on their official Twitter account in regards to Helldivers and a Helldivers tweet. Now, Deep Rock Galactic would be awesome. There's a lot of shared similarities into actual caves on the Terminate planets and exploring them. I mean, if there was ever going to be a time that we see a Deep Rock Galactic Warbond or something like that, it's probably having something to do with this. Although it's definitely not going to release this early, it'll probably be way later down the line if it does happen, especially in gameplay style. That being said, what Jojo had to say about Deep Rock Galactic said, not that I'm aware of, though I love Deep Rock Galactic, but even if there was, it would be secret. They then responded about the Crisis one, saying, don't you mean Crisis, because it was spelled wrong, but any collaboration that fits has potential, so if Crytek wants to send us an email and talk about it, they should, which is awesome. I honestly really love the Crisis games. They're a little bit older now if you haven't played them in a long time, but I think some of the armor sets would actually be really cool in Helldivers 2. That being said, the CEO himself has talked a lot about collaborations. Some potential ones he really likes: Alien Colonial Marines, Warhammer 40k, Imperial Guardsmen, ODST, and yeah, we actually saw that one come into the game. So if there was any indication that his hints at what he would like to see happen come to fruition, it seems pretty likely that this is the case. He said though that Destiny is a bit too sci-fi, so is StarCraft 2 and Star Wars. I'm kind of bummed about Star Wars. I love that universe a ton. I have Yoda tattooed on my arm along with Darth Vader. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. That being said, I guess I can see why it's just a little bit too sci-fi-y, but they have actually found some stuff in the files that indicates that Warhammer, like Sham said, does actually seem to be along in terms of progression and a lot of other things, so let's keep going. And interestingly enough, the CEO went on to go ahead and explain, after one Warhammer fan said Games Workshop would be extremely unlikely to agree to a crossover, well, the CEO cleared it up saying, I can tell you Gamer Workshop would love to do a crossover, and we're huge 40k fans ourselves. He then went on to say, time and resources are finite and we've got our hands busy. It would be cool as hell, but I really really don't know. That being said, something new appeared in the files, which we talked about, which is this brand new chain sword that Ironsights let us know about. It's a melee type weapon, and yeah, I did actually go ahead and say it. I thought there was a chance it was going to be something based off of a chain sword from Gears of War, since it released on the same day as the ODST collaboration and the Xbox release, so maybe it was going to be some kind of tie-in. However, I've got a bunch of egg on my face. Everyone's like, no, it's definitely Warhammer, but it does seem like Warhammer does seem to be on the table. Otherwise, why go ahead and create that? Or at least some Warhammer inspired stuff could be coming to the store in the very near future. And that makes a lot of sense because, well, Pedelstedt has actually gone out and talked about intellectual property crossovers with other games. And interestingly enough, he put out a tweet on November 2nd advertising a new game called Trench Crusade, which is a tabletop game I'll go over in just a second. And Trench Crusade was like, oh my god, I can't believe you noticed us. And then Pedelstedt said, I would love to do a Helldivers 2 Trench Crusade crossover. And then they went ahead and said, that'd be the sickest thing imaginable. And then Pedelstedt actually said, I sent the DM, let's talk, so I have more things to discuss. Definitely getting the wheels turning on a possible crossover. Now, in case you don't know, Tech Crusade is a tabletop war game set in a blasphemous alternate World War I era, which now that we have the Constitution, I actually think this would fit pretty well. But regardless, players take command of the forces of heaven and hell. Basically, it's like Doom, but tabletop with World War I aesthetics. Overall, it would be really cool. However, it got even more in depth as Pedelstedt said, to add more to this conversation, here's an extended list of IPs that I would really love to do a take on. And he gave a bunch of great ones. Aliens, Starship Troopers, which this game is clearly designed after. Terminator, which, you know, we fight the bots, so that makes a lot of sense. Predator, Star Wars, Fifth Element, Blade Runner, Warhammer 40k, which we just recently got Space Marines 2, so that would actually be perfect. Trench Crusade is on that list again, Mutant Chronicles, and Drop Zone Commanders. He also actually mentioned at some point about talking about massive PvE battles involving something like 20 to 30 players, all in the same big firefight. It comes up pretty often at the studio, but there are engine limitations, so we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and move away from collaborations for a minute and some game files about a potential fourth faction that wouldn't be a true faction, but something that actually goes ahead and causes chaos will we fight the three main factions. I want to talk about like AI wildlife, which is in the game files and which I think would be a very cool addition. We do know that there is talk about factions fighting each other on the maps against us and running into maybe an Illuminate runs into a Terminate patrol, but there is actually some evidence that suggests that we are going to be fighting other types of NPCs that actually don't have any agenda whatsoever. Our stuff found in the game files right here, where it says a faction type Super Earth, faction type Bugs, faction type Illuminate, faction type Cyborg, which is the automatons, and finally a faction type Wildlife, which is going to be a new enemy faction or possibly neutral faction that will attack both fellow Helldivers alike and the enemies as well. And there's even more stuff as there are voice lines for our Helldivers to communicate that we have found it on certain planets. I'll go ahead and play the audio files right here. These are found by Tier 5 NPC.
Alien wildlife found. Assessment. Adorable. Dangerous wildlife.
Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts? Don't forget to check out this video and this video right here where I cover more Helldivers 2 news. And until next time, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading democracy.